what you're saying. I'm not trying to scare anyone, but this is actually very important.
When you don't have experience communicating with teacher plants, it's very easy to get confused there.
When you feel like you can't handle it, call out, ask for help. And the person is lying there in some kind of confusion, not understanding what's happening.
Because you need to look your fears straight in the face. You have to acknowledge your ailments, your psychological traumas, all these wounds, bring everything out into the open.
They even found mushroom spores in space, right? So Maxim, I welcome you to our joint podcast. There you go. I think this is going to be a very interesting podcast. I believe that for our viewers, it will be useful to understand each time what every participant is experiencing. Because each participant has their own perspective and understanding. And as I often say, the information that is shown and given to you will be exactly what you personally need. So I wanted you to share and give some feedback on how your sacred ceremony went with me here in Phuket. Share your experience. Tell us about it. And we'll just have a free-form conversation.
Yes, Renat, hello. First of all, thank you for having me here, including on this podcast. My feet just brought me here on their own. You're right, it really is something that needs to be talked about because no matter how much you try to prepare for it, you simply can't be ready. You just have to go through it. You have to live it. Yeah, and I just had another experience now. It was the most experienced experience in terms of experience. A bit of a tautology, I know. Because I saw a lot for myself, I realized a lot, and we worked through many things. And of course, I've never been tossed around so much before, back and forth to the point where you really have to pull yourself out of there.
So you already had some experience, right, of going through a retreat?
Yes, this was actually my 4th retreat.
And during this retreat, you still discovered some additional things for yourself, so to speak, right? So something new?
Absolutely. Every retreat is different from the previous one.
Yes, that's absolutely right.
Yes, and it's simply impossible to know what will happen to you this time. As you know, we had issues with trust. You diagnosed that in me right from the very beginning.
Actually, I want to tell you, it wasn't just you who had issues with trust. Yes, it was like that for others at this ceremony as well. Most people actually have serious issues with trust. The big problem is that, unfortunately, if we dig deeper, again, for example, in hypnotherapy, when you work with clients, and I often worked specifically in hypnotherapy with clients, most often people lack trust because they were deceived, punished, or hurt in childhood. In other words, they were disappointed. And all of this whole chain comes from childhood, specifically from the parents.
Absolutely. Everything stems from childhood. Everything comes from those psychological traumas and beliefs that are instilled in us at the very beginning of our development. Later, they manifest themselves, or rather, we fail to manifest ourselves because of these various programs.
Yes.
As for this retreat, the mushrooms taught me. They taught me to treat them with respect, and they taught me to work independently.
How did that happen? How exactly did you feel about this particular taught experience?
Well, first, I should probably clarify that, as I'm sure you've said many times, there shouldn't be any requests.
Yes.
That you shouldn't ask anyone for anything there.
Yes.
I've always been aware of that internally and felt it. I didn't go in with any requests, but after the first day, I realized there were a number of everyday questions. Where to invest money, whether to develop this business or move to another one, whether to get married or not. So these are the kinds of questions I can decide for myself, but I thought maybe the mushrooms will shed some light.
Yes.
They'll show me what I need to do.
Let me add a little something here. Actually, you're absolutely right. What you're saying now is true because unfortunately most people think it's really a magic pill. You take it and you don't have to do anything. They think it should tell you like whether you should go to the bathroom now or in 20 minutes. In other words, it should tell you everything. But in reality, you have to do everything yourself and they're just there to help and guide you.
Absolutely right. That's exactly why this retreat was visually different for me. Usually there are bright fractals, clear visions, specific tasks. But this time I had to do the work myself. And on the second day of the retreat, I had to, tell myself internally, make a decision, set an intention, and say, I'll figure everything out myself. I don't need anything shown to me. I'll handle it all on my own. I'll do everything myself. I wrote myself a list of tasks that I would start doing right away. And from the third day, when we got to the third day, it became significantly easier. First of all, we uncovered a very strong ego, which the very first insight of the day was, if only someone had told me from the very beginning that your ego grows along with you, the higher and stronger you are,
Yes.
the higher and stronger your ego becomes. That was truly surprising to me. Really, honestly.
So it was kind of a revelation, right?
I had already fought this ego once before, and I thought that was it, that I was no longer dependent on it. Now, well, from here on out, I make my own decisions. But no, it rises up again, and working on yourself is a never-ending process. There's no such thing as perfection or a final limit.
And honestly, I want to emphasize here as well that it's impossible to get rid of the ego. I'm talking about it as the control center of your system. It distributes and activates different programs at various points in time accordingly. Only people who don't understand what the ego is at all try to get rid of it. You need to make friends with it. You need to communicate with it. It's your artificial intelligence, the very thing that determines whether you'll develop or degrade. That's why it's very important to understand. You're absolutely right. When you grow, your ego also starts to grow, and it will interact with you.
Yes, and as you said, it's important to balance, to keep balancing. Yes. That's why you need to watch yourself, to watch your thoughts. That's something that came to my mind as well, but in terms of what I've been taught, what you taught me, what the mushrooms taught me, that you need to be able to listen to yourself, to stay in silence in order to hear, and to remain in darkness in order to see, right? These are also truly great teachings that I will now try to put into practice.
Okay. Tell me, how are you feeling emotionally overall? How easy was it for you? You mentioned this is already your fourth ceremony. So, was it easy, difficult, or how would you describe the experience as a whole? Because most participants, especially those going through it for the first time, usually ask, what happens next? Will it get easier or will it always be this hard? Could you briefly share how to explain it to someone so they understand?
But again, it's always so different each time. I used to really enjoy retreats. I liked it. I liked coming here, the way you perceive the world differently, the way you see what is being shown to you, the tools and resources you are given. All of this is so impressive that it's impossible not to like it. It's great there. And even when you feel bad at times, you realize this at every retreat, in every trip, you realize that you are being cleansed. And that's wonderful. Cleansing yourself is truly wonderful. So when something comes out of you there, you really get filled with energy, filled with an enormous amount of energy, with huge resources. It's like you're being pumped up through a valve, yes. And that's actually great too, yeah. And this process, when you feel bad, it also somehow becomes a kind of joy for me. But this retreat was, well, I don't want to scare anyone, I don't want to, discourage anyone from doing it, and I also don't want to persuade anyone either. Everyone will come to this on their own, if they're meant to. But this time I felt worse than I ever have before. Really, just like that. Never before. When I don't understand where I am, what I am, just like that. It's like a system reboot, when a huge layer of beliefs gets erased. Things that, as I used to think, made me a person. Things tied to material values, apartments, cars, some kind of self-importance, opinions about others. All of that is just so much dust.
It just fell away.
Yes, it just got wiped out and left me. It really was like the system was being rebooted. And just like a computer with a huge number of little lights, everything went dark at once. And then, one by one, the lights started turning back on, like everything was coming back online. And it's hard. It's really hard. Yeah, it was really tough.
It sounds a lot like the hero's journey, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Every retreat, every trip is an act of heroism.
But what you're saying, I don't want to scare anyone. Actually, this is really important. I think it's important that people or whoever is watching us understands that, again, this isn't just some kind of entertainment, right? Just like you said at the beginning, for me it was a certain state, but now I feel that it's something completely different. That's why I always say there are two categories of people who go on a trip. The first category is those who just love to get high, some so-called addicts. Because when a person is enjoying themselves, essentially during a retreat, you can even see it. Since I already have a lot of experience and accordingly a large number of participants have gone through my retreats, I've seen what it looks like. That is, there are people who really enjoy themselves. I see how those demonic programs, they enjoy it together with the person. But when you actually guide a person and help them using our techniques and various tools during the ceremony, then the person realizes that this is definitely not about getting high. And that's why it's very important for anyone who watches this video, this podcast of ours, to understand that you should come here with clear intentions, knowing that there won't be any partying, no popping balloons, no blowing out candles. You'll be going through a real hero's journey.
Yes.
You've already experienced it yourself?
And this is what you're talking about, right? This whole thing about getting high, about addiction, right? You can mess around there, just like during a trip, especially when you open your eyes and look at this beautiful world, right? Plus, you enjoy being there, in that world that opens up to you. And then many people start to... I went through that myself too. Then I also start playfully thinking everything has been given to me here. Again, the ego rises. Everything has been given to me here. Oh, everything is so great. They opened the corridors there, showed me what to do. All that's left is to do it. And people even find... well, there are those who don't find the ambition or energy to start doing something. And after the retreat, they spend months completing the assignment.
Well, most often that's really how it is. They saw it, they understood what it looks like. The illusion, let's say, the spiritual part is already left there. They live there mentally, but they don't realize that they need to come back here to the physical world where your body is, where in any case you will have to live.
And that's exactly why the integrations we did together every evening are so important. They helped me a lot. That's it.
How important do you think integration is as a part of the ceremony?
Proper integration is 50% of success. When you don't have experience communicating with teacher plants, it's very easy to get confused there. They might show you, say, the final point B, but in reality they showed it to you just so you would lose your mind, inflate your ego, and go around saying, I'm the king, everyone else can go to hell. And that's how you get your lesson. Plus, if you have some kind of calling, they might offer you something. They offered me a real estate agency all over the world. They made me the most influential and wealthy person.
So they showed you all of this?
Yes. And I was like, yes. How cool is that? But that was at the previous retreat. And then the proper integration told me, Maxim, does this align with your credo, with your calling, the one that, chose you? That I was like, no, but I could spend a little bit of time on it. And they kept pushing me. No, they are misleading. They are testing you. Tests come both during the trip and afterwards. They keep testing you. People come with certain words, suggestions, and you have to stay alert.
Okay, great. What else did you get from this ceremony? What feelings, tasks, emotions? What did you work with in general? What exactly did you feel during this ceremony, personally for yourself? What did you get out of it?
A complete system reboot. I learned to work independently without shifting responsibility onto the mushrooms. As I mentioned earlier, at this retreat, I didn't have any vivid visions or fractals. So I really solved everything myself. Yes, the mushrooms guided me. They gave hints, helped, and mentored. You were there too. We also had a lot of breakthroughs together at different moments. But what's great is that I learned to work on my own. And no expectations. Again, no expectations.
So that's exactly what happens. When you start working on yourself, there are no expectations, no shifting of responsibility.
Absolutely right. And this refusal to shift responsibility and having no expectations, that's exactly what opens things up. I was allowed to move forward because I reached the point where I expected nothing and was ready to act on my own.
How do you truly think this significant realization that you will now do absolutely everything yourself and possess the complete knowledge of how to do it can profoundly help you in your life?
Well, as we discussed during integration yesterday, again, there was this moment. Let's say, for example, I'm waiting for money, right?
Yes.
I might expect that this money will come tomorrow or the day after, count on it, but in the end, it won't come either tomorrow or the day after, and on the third day, I'll be disappointed. I'll be like, I've been screwed over, abandoned, I don't trust anyone, everything is terrible.
All the crap will immediately come to the surface.
Yeah, it'll come up right away. So, no expectations.
Just keep doing your thing. Just keep working on what you're doing. And everything else will accordingly depend on your state. After all, it's not for nothing that we say. The state you're in is exactly what you get back. So if you're in a negative state, you usually get even more problems thrown at you so that you realize and understand just like you said, to stop, to spend some time in silence, to be in the dark, so that nothing and no one distracts you. And only after that, again, you need to fully experience that state. That is, when you receive some kind of task, information, or go through some experience in life, you always need to live through a certain moment, because if you don't, you won't understand or realize why you needed all of this in the first place.
Absolutely. Knowledge and awareness are two completely different things. There were many things I understood 2 or even 3 years ago. But understanding, when you feel that inner response, you're like, yes, there is a soul. Yes, we live in a matrix. Like, yeah. But what that actually is, I didn't know or understand. Of course, knowledge and awareness are different things. That's why it was a divine retreat. Well, and I learned a lot more. I finally saw how mushroom ceremonies, these truly sacred ceremonies, should really and properly take place. I have never before seen such remarkable order, such profound silence, such, truly indifferent yet deeply engaged participation. You have the perfect balance of not being pushy, and it was only on the second day that I realized. You say you need help?
Yes.
So I'm like, no. Well, the first 2 days I was closed off, but then I realized, yes, it's okay. Like to give a massage somewhere, to set something up, to do something. There are so many techniques I saw for the first time. And to ask for help, ask and it will be given.
Yes.
Exactly. Not to be afraid. This is the moment, not to close yourself off. So,
for most participants, that's actually the point. At the ceremony, when you talk to all of them, you're basically saying the same thing and conveying the same information. I'm not really saying anything new. The essence is always the same. When you feel like you can't handle it, call out, ask for help. And a person lies there in some kind of confusion, not understanding what's happening. And again, this comes down to the level of trust. When that trust appears, you start reacting more quickly and begin to help yourself. It all goes more easily, even though on the one hand it's difficult, the state itself is hard, but you understand that it's temporary and whatever is happening will pass more quickly.
yes, during a trip, it becomes very clear. When you push yourself step by step toward trust, when you start trusting the guide, when you start trusting the mushrooms. First of all, things start coming out of you. As soon as you take a little step, some kind of mucus immediately appears. Whoa! So it's like you just completed a lesson. You made progress, went through a small lesson, and something left your body. And like that, little by little, you push yourself forward with this sense of trust, and you realize just how smoothly everything goes. You see how a trip doesn't have to be a bad trip, basically. Turns out a trip doesn't have to be a bad trip. But you need to have trust for that. You have to work on it, work on trust and trust. I think that now, when it comes to trust, things have become much clearer and purer for me.
But actually, look, if we're talking about bad trips, I've mentioned this more than once before. In fact, a bad trip is necessary. And a very important part of a bad trip is that a person experiences the most intense emotions of their entire life in that state. And at that moment, the most powerful programs come to the surface and he gets rid of them. And then after that, if the person properly integrates the experience, which is why integration is such an important part, if he plans to continue, he really undergoes a quantum leap and changes start happening in his life. But if you have a bad experience during a bad trip, most people are then afraid to return to the ceremony, to mushrooms, and as a result, they end up with the wrong information, a distorted perception. That's why a bad trip is actually the most vivid part of your life when you go through this quantum leap.
That's exactly what I was talking about. I used to like it when I felt bad because I understood a lot in those states and truly went through a cleansing. So that's why it's a divine process that deserves to take place. And here, it's very important not to stray from the path. So, if you've had a bad trip, and that's inevitable, everyone will have one. Because you have to look your fears straight in the face, acknowledge your ailments, your psychological traumas, all those wounds, bring everything out into the open, not shut yourself off, not be embarrassed. And only when you bring all of that out will you be filled, you'll be given everything, and you'll move forward. And it's precisely here that courage and heroism are needed in order to come back again. Well, first of all, so you don't lose your mind in the moment. Well, you actually can't go insane. You just need to trust, relax, and everything will pass.
In reality, you go through, well, even a moment like this, it really does feel like you're going crazy because some of the participants, myself included, have experienced this moment, and you genuinely feel as if you're in some kind of mental hospital and you're losing your mind. This very state is exactly the loop you're in, and you just need to go through it, simply live through it. But it feels like it stretches out over such a long time, right? But in reality, only a couple of minutes go by, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. It feels to you like you're stuck in that state for an eternity.
One day, for example, it was already 12 o'clock. We had finished in the morning, and I thought it was 4 or 5 o'clock. But really, I was very surprised that so little time had passed, even though I was being tossed around in every direction.
I was being dragged and shaken all over.
Yes, it was tough, but that's an essential part of growth. No one said it would be easy, neither doing these tasks after the retreat, going out on your own, making mistakes, getting up and moving forward, nor doing it all over again. And no one said it would be easy during the retreat itself either. We consist of many, many destructive virus programs. And while we have them, new consciousness, new intelligence, new possibilities, they are simply blocked. And here, having reached this point, the greatest reward of this event, this retreat, is the mushroom roof.
Yeah. Come on, tell me, what is this? What does mushroom roof mean? So that we understand how you perceived and realized it.
Guys, the mushroom roof is cooler than Interpol, the FSB, the FSO. It's cooler than absolutely anything else. It's the coolest protection you could possibly have. As we said, as we discussed and showed, they said that in any situation, no matter what happens, you'll slip through, you'll pass through such narrow corridors that no one will have time to understand anything at all. You'll already be gone. That's it. Whatever you do, whatever you take on, I'm telling you, it just makes my hair stand on end. Whatever you do, whatever you take on, and considering that I haven't been given an assignment right now, I just made one up for myself. They said whatever you do now, however you choose to express your creative potential in whatever way, the green light is everywhere. Everything will work out, everything will happen, just take action. Act and believe. And they said, now Maxim, you're under protection, you're under our guardianship now.
It's like in American movies when they say you're under our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I should clarify this for the viewers as well. Really, the mushroom cover, if anyone still doesn't get it, is honestly the coolest thing that can happen to you. But that doesn't mean, again, you need to understand all these nuances for yourself. Because every person who watches or listens to someone or something broadcasting through Malevich's Black Square, you know, the thing everyone usually likes to watch, or listens to someone, most often people take things out of context. Out of everything that's been said, instead of immersing themselves in the process and trying to understand and figure things out, they just take something out of context and think, well, he said it, so that's it. Now I'll go eat a bunch of mushrooms, I'll lose my mind, and I can do whatever I want. Like, I'll be able to walk through walls and everything will be fine. That's why, to truly understand and realize this, it's when you take responsibility, when you've made a clear decision and know exactly what you want and you move in your own direction, then things start happening easily for you, and those higher powers, the creators, really begin to help you. In other words, they start interacting with you. And as I often say, a kind of bug happens. What is a bug? For IT people, this is very clear. It's when a system failure occurs. If you've seen the movie The Matrix, there was a situation where the group was going back, returning to their ship. Neo saw a cat in the mirror. Yeah, he said, a déjà vu. So that's a glitch in the system. They asked him, what did you see? He said, it seemed to me that the cat ran by twice. So when he said déjà vu, that's what it was. In other words, certain phrases are exactly that. If you learn to listen properly, to recognize them, you'll start to hear certain code words in your life, as I call them. So when you hear a certain word, you experience this particular state. That is, between worlds, even your physical body passes between worlds. So for those who, let's say, dreamed of traveling between worlds, it does happen, but only for a split second. There have been many such cases in my life, including times when you're walking and suddenly it's like, stop, there's definitely no road ahead, and you don't go any further. And you say something, you act a certain way, and suddenly the system glitches. While someone is distracted by something, you just pass through, and it's this kind of state. And that's it. you've already made it through. You don't even need to think about it anymore. So it really does work. That's why, honestly, it's actually very powerful. But you have to come to this consciously.
Come to it consciously and take responsibility. Mushrooms are not a magic pill. They can help, they can pull you out of the mess, heal all diseases, and with the right mentors, guides, fasting, and so on and so on. You'll come to everything, to the healing of both soul and body, but that's your area of responsibility.
Absolutely right.
And if you treat it disrespectfully like that, you'll get what's coming to you.
And right here, I actually wanted to, I have a question for you, Maxim. So tell me, at the beginning of our podcast, you mentioned that this is already your fourth ceremony. Tell me, why do you go through these ceremonies? Well, this is your fourth ceremony already. And in your opinion, what do they actually give you? Why are they even necessary? I mean, you go through it once, you see, you feel, you experience it. Why do you need more ceremonies after that? What do you want, or how do you see it for yourself?
Well, I came to mushrooms completely by accident, although of course there are no real accidents. So it just came into my life. I ended up at a retreat, and it was there at my first retreat that I realized what things are truly important and what things are not. I healed myself from deadly diseases that I was supposed to develop in the future.
So you were shown this directly, right?
Yes, we pulled out hepatitis, which I was supposed to have in the future. I was shown exactly how this program was operating in my life. So I was shown this nightlife, parties, clubs, bars, promiscuous sexual relationships, this kind of reckless lifestyle, and that ultimately I was supposed to end up with this deadly disease.
This disease, right? This one?
To get upset. To suffer from it for 18 years, having lost all meaning in life. Can you imagine how intense that suffering is? And again, I get goosebumps just talking about it. And for 18 years, I was supposed to suffer from this disease, HIV or hepatitis. There were two possible scenarios. And after that, I was supposed to die, basically.
They really showed it to you in a very powerful and impactful way.
Yeah. And the most important thing, the scariest part, isn't death, but those 18 years of life, because nothing matters anymore.
Again, not a life, but a torment.
That's it, that's all. All the goals you set for yourself don't matter. The family you dreamed of doesn't matter. It's no longer possible. It would be very hard for me to find light in such darkness. That would have destroyed me, and I would have just... That's it. Well, that's all there is. And then with all that stress, some kind of cancer would probably show up too.
Of course, everything would just pile up together.
Yeah, and I would have died, basically. They showed it to me so clearly and vividly. I saw it and realized that it really was like that. I understood what was poisoning my life, what I needed to get rid of. Since then, once and for all, I stopped wanting to drink alcohol.
So basically, if we go back to that mystical idea, like a time machine showing you things, like, yeah, that kind of soul transfer people want to see. Mushrooms are actually the key to everything, and they can't be destroyed. Many people may have already heard that mushroom spores have even been found in space on spacecraft. So, in fact, they really can't be destroyed. They were actually the first to appear on Earth, and life originated from them. If someone watching this video, our podcast, wants to look into it, you'll find all the answers confirming that this is really the case. And let's say you were given the opportunity to look 18 years into the future to see your condition, the final result, where this would lead you. You saw it and accordingly got rid of it by living through that moment.
Yes. I realized it clearly. And then I was shown what is truly important in my life. Not alcohol, parties, or alcoholic friends, but love. That's when I realized that the most important thing in this world is love. This is the most important fundamental feeling that should always be present and always radiate from you. You have to radiate it and be filled with it. It's love. They showed this to me in a way I could understand, through my parents. Yes, for example, at this retreat there was a separation from my parents, right? In other words, a lot of work was done. I mean, well, it's so hard to explain.
Is this even important? Tell me. Let's pause here for a moment as well. Is separation from parents important, and what does it give you? How did you feel about it yourself?
Well, part of this significant and intricate puzzle, this profound separation from my parents, is that I was clearly shown that I'm absolutely no longer an integral part of that particular matrix, that I'm truly no longer like most other people in terms of my unique way of thinking, my fundamental attitude towards life, and my overall perspective. And that means I need to stop having illusions about myself. You need to stop thinking things about others. Just stay focused, concentrate on your own business, and not care about what anyone says or thinks.
Exactly.
Parents are the strongest people, especially since we have a very good relationship in our family. I love my parents and they love me too. But as you rightly said, and as we discussed together, they will always find words that pull me back into the matrix, push me back in, and I start getting attached again. They said, don't have illusions about yourself, don't think anything about others, don't depend on other people's opinions, don't get attached to material things. Apartments, cars, Rolexes, yachts, fancy rides, all of that doesn't matter. You have a different goal, you'll have all of that, no doubt. And you already do. It's just not the main thing.
You just need to learn how to use all these resources properly.
And not get attached to them. And that's exactly it. Because parents are the strongest connection, they'll always find some words. Dad will say something, yeah, some things. I even know exactly what words Mom might say, what words Dad might say. I know exactly how they could pull me back, trigger my old patterns, set me off so that I end up sinking down again. That's why we worked through things with Mom together, and honestly, I was shocked to discover that from Mom's side, from her lineage, there was a 700-year-old demonic entity.
Yes.
Managed, well,
The whole family, right? In general.
yes, yes. And I go through the same scenario. That is, do you remember when we rewound to that year, to some year, 1907, 1700?
Yes.
These carts, the square, the cobblestones. I'm in the mud, in filth, covered in shit. Everyone thinks I'm not a very good person. Humiliation, disgrace. I'm lying there, completely broken. At the same time, I was an influential person back then. And it was exactly this entity on my mother's side because I was influential. And by the way, I was apparently also involved in real estate and investments back then, which is exactly what I do now.
Well,
So the scenario is repeating itself. Apparently, I didn't learn the lesson back then, and now I'm being put through this story all over again. Back then, I had influence, people followed me, I had money, and I started gambling, even though now I have no interest in it, but nevertheless, that was the scenario at the time. I lost all the money, including clients' money. Plus, I had an inflated ego, thinking none of you know anything, and here I am, the king, the god, listen to me, follow me.
so it's a familiar feeling, right? So even here, you were already experiencing that state.
Yes, yes. Yeah. No embellishments, that's just how it was. And so at that point, I hit absolute rock bottom. I mean, I lost everything on bets, investments, and ended up with nothing. And that was it. And then everyone forgot about me. Well, basically. And so we worked through that situation. And now, of course, I feel that I'm guided by different feelings. And I won't make the same mistakes I did back then.
For those who don't really believe in loops, which we often talk about, there are short loops, long loops, and even lifelong, century-long loops. In other words, if you haven't learned a certain lesson, you will definitely have to learn it. I often repeat, you will have to pass the exam, whether you want to or not. It's better to come and take it voluntarily yourself than to be forced to go through that state again.
Yes, because it's very unpleasant to experience such a state. It's one thing if you experienced it during a retreat. But if in life you spend months or even years running in circles unable to get out of it and not understanding what's happening to you, that's a different story. That's when...
Well, and even during the ceremony, right? You already said, damn, I'm going through it again. Damn, the same thing. They sent me right back there. So do you remember your state then?
Yes,
That you truly do not understand how to effectively get yourself out of it.
yes.
And when you start helping, using some of our tools and techniques, right? You really see how much easier it becomes to break free from it.
Yeah. And to listen to yourself, relax, breathe, listen.
Okay? So let's go back to the fundamental question of precisely why you truly think it's absolutely necessary to go through this entire process, because people often genuinely ask, why so very often, with some significant interval, with some consistent and regular frequency, should you conscientiously attend these important ceremonies? Why do you even need this at all?
Well, it shows me my path.
Why do you need it?
It shows me the way, and when I was 29, I came to mushrooms. I didn't know what to do with my life. I wasn't a happy person. I was doing what I knew how to do, and it didn't bring me any joy. I suffered and resisted. I tried to control everything. It was very hard for me. I had 4 herniated discs and hemorrhoids. All of that.
But I was in control, right?
Yes. That's control. Control. That power.
So if anyone wants to control everything, just so you know, this is where it leads.
And you see, agree, how everything is interconnected.
Yes.
So you feel guilty, it weighs on you, and you try to control everything, clenching your teeth, all of that. So you're all tense. And what comes from tension? Hemorrhoids and herniated discs? Well, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes,
I had all of that. Now I have nothing, thank God.
that's truly great indeed.
Why mushrooms? Why do I keep going? Because I was shown my path, a path where, first of all, I bring tremendous benefit, where, most importantly, I serve our world. Actually, even now, well, in my case and in your case, of course, it's about mushrooms, but in general, to serve, you have to be useful.
To be in a certain kind of service, first and foremost, to serve your own calling.
Yes, yes, yes. That's what it's about. So I was shown how serving is important, that I can serve. I was shown what kind of success I can achieve, and that I will leave a great legacy behind. And I am happy. I am happy to share knowledge. I am happy and proud to be such a student. I am happy and proud to be a student, to be your student, Maria Viktorovna. Yes, truly. I am happy to be a teacher for someone. That is the highest reward there can be. To follow the right people like that, and to lead others in the right way, to lead them properly, where harmony, balance, happiness, and abundance prevail. You enjoy all the blessings of this world. After all, these blessings exist here for a reason, and at the same time, you bring tremendous benefit. This is my mission, and I am grateful to the mushrooms for revealing this to me, for showing me this. I regularly attend retreats and ceremonies because they help me discover new knowledge and get rid of old ailments. I am healing.
Well, okay, great. Here, I really want to emphasize and underscore that, in actual fact, all the extensive knowledge and understanding I possess is truly thanks to, let's say, my esteemed teacher, as you just so eloquently put it, my dedicated teacher and cherished mentor, Pavel Mikhailovich. I am always very grateful to him, and I say every time, if it weren't for him, my life would probably be, I don't even know what it would be like, I can't even imagine. And the profound knowledge I gain accordingly is truly thanks to the intricate and insightful micromysticism, which genuinely fills you completely and provides all the essential information in its entirety and with great clarity. So, to clarify, when you are in service, you understand that your primary and most fundamental mission is to be present, to give your utmost effort, and to convey information with absolute clarity and precision, ensuring there is no distortion whatsoever. This commitment to accurate and undistorted communication is paramount. We actually have a substantial number of different, let's say, guidelines, regulations, and established protocols that govern our operations and interactions. There is a certain kind of documentation that allows us, so to speak, to set some guidelines. It's like, roughly speaking, if we compare it now, it's like an airstrip for a plane, right? Or rather, a runway for a plane. If you're flying during the day, then given good weather conditions, you can still somehow see it. That's one option. The second option is when you clearly see that the lights are indeed on, right? This is a very important detail to observe. Specifically the boundaries of this runway, whether for takeoff or landing. And thirdly, there are the instruments, which basically allow you to land just the same, even if the weather is bad and visibility is poor, but in any case, you can rely on the instruments. So, in fact, micromysticism provides all of this together. It gives you information, it gives you knowledge, it gives you support, it gives you communication. And all of this is thanks to Pavel Mikhailovich, through whom it all came first to him, yes, and then to me as one of the conduits of micromysticism. That's precisely why it's incredibly important to fully understand that when you embark upon this particular path, the roof you specifically mentioned, yes, you will truly and deeply feel it, that these amazing mushrooms are indeed your protective roof, and wonderful miracles will genuinely start happening in your life.
Absolutely right. That's exactly how it is. And sometimes this mysticism, like what you were talking about, yes, your own life examples, the kind of mystical things that happen to you, it's just, well, it's amazing, it's shocking, it's hard to believe. It's miracles. That's it. There's no other way to put it.
But when you actually go through all these intricate stages yourself, that's when you truly and deeply understand the entire process. When I used to hear about certain significant moments or important stages in someone else's life, it's often quite difficult to truly imagine it yourself either. But again, I'll emphatically repeat. First, they meticulously give you the necessary information, then they clearly show you what's happening, and only then do they thoroughly explain precisely why all of this is actually happening. So, when I heard something or even saw it somewhere, after some time I would come to understand what it was for. why, and what the purpose of it all was. In other words, you will begin to truly experience it for yourself. Again, as I have previously stated, for every single participant who thoughtfully goes through this profound ceremony, time will ultimately tell, and perhaps you too will personally go through these very same stages yourself. And when you truly go through something significant like that, something profoundly tough in your life, or something that represents a deeply personal and impactful lesson, you will likely realize that in most cases, the individual who experienced it before you probably went through these very same stages, these identical steps along their own journey. In other words, they went through exactly the same thing. It simply can't be any other way.
Yes.
Because when you get information from them, this integration, in simple terms, basically, what else is it? What is integration? If we dig a little deeper here. You've gone down a certain path, you know the consequences, you know this path well, and you give feedback to the person who's following after you. So at a certain point, they're like, ah, right, that's the landmark. Those are the signs, right? So you understand that you're definitely heading in the right direction. That's why part of integration is actually the journey itself. You've walked the path, and for those coming after you, you share the information. The person who realizes and accepts all this, their journey continues. They're following exactly that road. As soon as you stray even a little, you immediately realize you're going the wrong way.
You couldn't have said it better. And honestly, I want to express my deep gratitude. Probably to my soul, to my experience, yes, to my inner self, for the fact that I've come to a place where I'm surrounded by people who are ahead of me, who turn back and say, watch your step, there's crap here.
Yeah.
You'll get blown up here too, so don't step there either. Careful, step over it like this. Do it like this. And yet, in the world, people are always fighting. Competition, competition. Just for crumbs, really.
Let's talk about this competition then. It's a really important topic, I think, one of the key ones about competition. So share your thoughts.
Well, there is absolutely no competition at all.
Yeah.
It really is. It is precisely there where there is this pervasive conceit, where there are some of these deeply ingrained false beliefs. That's precisely where it's entirely illusory. The ephemeral world of illusions and fleeting dreams. Matrix?
Yes, yes.
There is competition among people there.
So in simple terms, like you said about yourself at the very beginning, you attached importance to something like that, right? A crown upon your head, and you truly think you are so utterly irreplaceable that absolutely no one else can do anything at all except for you, basically.
Yes, yes. But in reality, when the mushrooms pull you out, they give you a certain amount of trust each time. And if you're doing well, that trust grows higher and higher. They pull you up to a new level. And right now, I'm at a level where competition doesn't exist and money doesn't exist. I mean, just imagine that. What does it feel like to realize there's no competition? Wow, that's awesome. I'm really grateful to be where I am right now, for the path I've taken, for the people in my life, and I want to be that kind of person for others. Someone who will always help and guide those who come to me someday. But they're like, figure it out yourself. Or, on the contrary, they might even send someone somewhere just so they stumble, fall, and get hurt. But honestly, that kind of dirt, that's just not my thing. Actually, competition is something you find among the homeless and among children. In what sense among the homeless? Homeless people, that is, those who have some kind of opinion about themselves, but in reality they're nothing special. All they really know how to do is open their mouths. So, especially for viewers who are searching for answers, the truth is, those answers are always right at your feet. If you are truly ready to listen, if you are ready to see, everything will be shown to you, everything will be conveyed and explained to you. So first and foremost, this is the kind of person you often see. Someone who likes to talk about themselves, to have some opinion of themselves. But when it comes down to it, they say, it's not my responsibility. Head in the sand. Yes, head in the sand. Not my responsibility. Not me, it's them. That's how it starts. So this is what's called being a bum, right? Showing off is fine when you actually provide real value. And the second point is about children. Children, again, it's about showing off, trying to prove who you really are, but in reality you have no idea and you have nothing. In other words, to mess something up, to constantly, let's say or show something that doesn't actually exist. So what does this competition really do? It just dissolves everyone into the same glass. If you add a drop of dye to it now, what will happen to all the water? It will turn that color. Well, at least approximately that color. It will dissolve. Yes, that's why growth depends on your environment, who you are. Well, tell me who your friend is, and I'll tell you who you are. You are part of the world you belong to, and that's where you are. Again, it's a tautology, but the meaning is clear. So your environment is very important. Where you're supported, where you're helped, where when you ask for help. Before, for me, just asking someone for something at all. Are you kidding? No.
Who do you think you are, right?
Like, I can't bring myself to admit that I have truly fallen so incredibly low that I am now in desperate need of some genuine help.
So, beliefs. Yeah, just how powerful they are. And where do they lead you in the end? What kind of state do they put you in?
To rock bottom, you keep falling lower and lower. And every time you feel like you should ask someone for help, but you swallow your pride, you just hurt yourself more and more, and it goes on and on. You're constantly, and then another program pops up, and then another one, and another. And then you end up with something like cancer, for example, that develops from feelings of guilt or from a sense of self-deprecation. So you need to ask for help.
Now, you understand that it's not some kind of humiliation or insult to yourself when you ask for help. Help in the sense that maybe someone can give you advice or simply point you in the right direction. It's not help in the sense of like, Maxim, can you lend me some money?
Yeah, exactly. If, as you said correctly, in that sense, of course, I asked you. So, yes, after the retreat, I said, can you help me get settled here? I clarified what I meant, like a car, an apartment, money changers.
You basically explained exactly what you needed so that I wouldn't get the wrong idea. Again, you see, your thoughts are running ahead. Instead of just saying it, you got your answer anyway. No problem. If you need anything, just write or call, we'll figure it out. But you already started overthinking it, getting ahead of yourself. That's not what I meant. You have to understand me correctly.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to clarify that even now, even to this day, I realize asking for help. So I still need to work on this. There's still work to be done here.
Again, it's about trust.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. Asking for help, yes. That's where growth is, yes. People will help, yes. It all comes down to that. That's absolutely true, 100%. But sometimes I'd rather not ask, you know? So there are still some situations where this applies. Sometimes, of course, it's better to just do everything myself.
But in any case, you need to try doing it yourself first. Because if you haven't tried it yourself, why ask and waste someone else's time when you could just try it on your own first? Only when you've tried and failed yourself do you really understand that you definitely need help. I can't handle it.
I tried this way, it didn't work. I tried that way, it didn't work either. When there's no way out, then you can ask someone who's already been through it.
So when you started, let's say, what was the first feeling or emotion when you finally started asking for help? How easy was it once you realized it?
It's easy and inspiring. It's inspiring. And new opportunities open up. I mean, it's through this that opportunities really open up. For example, I already fundamentally know that I'm about to move to Thailand. I have my own important work right here, and I fully understand that I have many valuable people who are present here with me. At least there's someone I can call or write to. Yeah, there are people who can help. That's awesome. Just imagine some people dream of leaving their hometown, of broadening their horizons. But I already have people in Thailand, in Sochi, in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, well, basically all over Russia, so to speak. You've got Ecuador, South America, Miami. So, you know, that's the scale of your personality.
And actually, look, you listed all that so well, but in reality, your own network could expand just like that too, right? I mean, we have this concept, don't we? With just 5 handshakes, you can basically get introduced to the most influential people, even presidents. So, in reality, you immediately have access to places like Miami, Mexico, or wherever else. So again, by maintaining relationships with the right people, opportunities open up for you right away, and you scale up much faster and more effectively. That's why it's very important to realize for yourself, you're either basically like a bum who can only talk, or you're someone who takes responsibility for your own life, first and foremost, and only for your own. And you start to expand your boundaries.
Your boundaries, the boundaries of your thinking, your influence. The scale grows. It's like geometric progression. If we compare, well, in terms of the trust credit that was given to me, how much I was lifted up during this retreat with you, the one you just held. I think it's about X10, 10 times stronger than when I first came to you. Yeah. And they also showed Spain. So I will definitely go there too. I will make it there. And in general, they showed that the whole world, guys, it's for you. It's your home. Meet new people, travel, spend some time here, spend some time there. Don't be afraid. You have a great villa, a great pool. Everyone dreams. I want a yacht. I want to sail on a yacht in the ocean. But even for me, on the first or second day, there's this beautiful pool, the villa, nothing to do. They took away our phones. And somehow, you realize you don't really need that pool all that much. I mean,
But at first, when you just arrive, yeah, the pool. Wow, wow, wow. But honestly, I was the same way. I was excited too. I swam and swam, yeah, when I had just moved here, from the cold, so to speak, to a warm country. You think that you'll be swimming every day, sunbathing all the time, but in reality, sometimes you just look at it, walk around, maybe pick some leaves out of the pool, and that's it, and you just enjoy it. But at least you understand you have what you wanted, you got what you wanted, so enjoy it. That's why, with every process that happens in life, you always need to know how to enjoy it. Even in the most negative situations, learn to find enjoyment.
that's very important. What you're saying too. One of the realizations I've had is whatever you have, use it and get pleasure from it. Because if today you're given a cool villa with a pool and you don't make use of it, then you'll never learn to enjoy your own yacht, to swim in the ocean, to dive, to go snorkeling. You won't get any pleasure from it. You'll just dream about it, live in a world of illusions, dream about money, worry that you don't have it, dream about traveling, go to work, pay off credit cards, and so on and so forth. And that's it. And life is over. You're 60 years old. That's it. Everything's gone. All your energy has faded away.
Absolutely right. That's exactly what everyone ends up regretting. I often think of my grandmother in this regard because, well, let's say we talked a lot, and she would tell me about her life, and most often it was regrets. Regrets about not having done what she wanted to do in life. And now it's too late because the time has already been lost. You can't get it back. That's one thing. And secondly, there's really no point anymore. So these regrets, when you really look at elderly people and realize, and maybe most likely it wasn't just a conversation, but even back then I was being shown, act now. If you have the opportunity, act. If you don't want to, you'll end up just like her, sitting and being afraid of dying, lying bedridden. As she used to say, it would be better, she would rather just fall asleep and not wake up, yes. But when you truly have deep-seated fears, they will always persistently be there, lingering in the background, and you'll inevitably live in exactly that constant unsettling state of apprehension and worry. And it's the same with death, which we also talked about, that they won't just simply let you go freely, they will instead torment you thoroughly so that you experience absolutely everything. So those individuals who mistakenly think they can easily go and effortlessly leave this world, they will find it hardly possible, if at all. That's where the realization comes from. Learn to live, to enjoy all the processes, to meet the right people and maintain communication. And then this map will start to open up more and more, and there will be no boundaries. You're absolutely right. Any country, basically, wherever I go, I feel at home everywhere. I don't have that feeling of being abroad, surrounded by strangers, feeling scared, like in those movies where you don't know what's going on. I feel comfortable. So, if you don't have any negative emotions and you've prepared yourself, right? Why is preparation so important? For everything, especially for the ceremony. It's the same in life. For example, if you're planning to go to some country, prepare yourself. At least learn some basic information about what you can actually expect there. All the more so now, especially since we have the internet.
Yes,
And social networks, you can get information I don't even know, more than enough for yourself.
absolutely right. You can plan everything out, make an itinerary for yourself, and do it all in advance instead of how it used to be in the old days when you'd arrive and have no idea where you were or where you'd ended up. So now, thanks to the internet, everything is possible. All the opportunities are there. All that's left is to believe and take action, without fear, without doubts, without all that stuff. By the way, what you said about your grandmother, I heard that actually there was a survey conducted among elderly people, and well, 90% of them say the same thing, that they didn't do what they wanted to do. At some point, they dreamed of becoming a football player, but for some reason ended up working at a factory.
Yeah.
Right, and then so, yeah,
Got married not for love, but wanted to marry someone else. But then people would have thought something, and that's how it all starts.
yeah, just married the wrong person.
Or got married.
Yeah. So we are the creators of our own destiny. We make decisions, we choose every day. And the choice should be the right one. Well, whatever it is, but it should be made, not put off for later. Because Can you imagine just how heavy those regrets are when you're already old? When it's all over, you're elderly, right? And you realize that you didn't live your life the way you wanted to. There's no happiness, no joy, everything is gone. That's a really tough thing. I don't want that.
Well, great. So, Maxim, I think we've touched on a lot of topics. Thank you for sharing your experience, for coming here and joining the podcast to tell your story to those who want to hear it. Again, this is really for those people. Do you have any wishes or parting words? Maybe some feedback? How do you feel after all of this? Just a few words, literally.
I feel great. I have absolutely no wishes or suggestions because I was truly impressed by the ceremony. I've never experienced a ceremony of such a high level before. That's the truth. And I also learned a lot for myself. Yes, as a future facilitator, I saw how everything should look. So I hope that my next retreat will also be here. That's it. Well, in any case, I'll be in Thailand. I'm also very grateful that I came to you, that you worked with me, that you did everything you could for me, brought me back from there, and that's it. I feel great now. Honestly, I already want to start taking action.
Okay, so you can't wait to get started?
Yes.
Well, that's great. Congratulations on your sacred ceremony and on our joint podcast. And we'll keep in touch and keep watching how your life unfolds. Maybe we'll even record another podcast and you can share how your life has changed afterwards. Because for most people, it's really important to know what happens next, right? So, as they say, the story continues.
Yes, by the way. That would be interesting. That's another motivation for me to come back and say, hey, I've actually achieved something in a short time.
Excellent. Thank you again, and I wish you a wonderful transformation in your life. And I know that you'll achieve all of this, no matter what. I believe in every person. I say it just like in the iconic movie The Matrix, like the wise Morpheus said to the chosen Neo, right? Or rather, the profound Morpheus said to Neo with great conviction, I truly believe that you are indeed the one. Now, will you genuinely believe that you are the one or not?
Those are deep words, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.